Hey there, Jon Chorba here from ReallyEasyGuitarLessons.com, and in this video lesson, I am going to show you 9 different ways that you can play a D chord on the guitar. So this lesson is for anybody who wants to get better at what I call fretboard navigational skills, the ability to find one given chord in multiple commonly used spots on the guitar. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to start at the smallest level. If you are brand new, the first way or first couple ways that I show you how to do it will be very appropriate for the beginner, and then kind of gets a little more advanced as we go. But if you can get through all 9 of these different ways, you'll be able to locate how to play a D chord all over the guitar. Let's jump in and get started. All right, the most common way to play a D is the open position D, which would be the open D string, your first finger on the 2nd fret of the G, your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the B, and your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the E, and you play from the D string down. Now, sometimes when students are first learning a D chord, they get this, that muted sound on the high E string. If you're hearing that, that means your ring finger, your 3rd finger, is bent backwards and it's touching the E string, all right? So you need to do 2 things. You need to get more on the tip of your finger, and if you get on the tip of your finger and you still are hearing the clunky muting sound, that means you need to just press in the skin on your 3rd finger a little bit more. And you could achieve that by doing a very painful exercise, which is just holding in the high E string with that finger, with your 3rd finger, and just sliding it up and down. It hurts, but it'll push the skin in at that spot and get that D chord to be a little more clean, okay? So there's the first way, the most common way, the open position D chord. The second way is a little bit of an extension of this, working lower on the neck. It's a what's called a first inversion D major chord, and you're gonna change your fingers around. So I'm gonna use my first finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, my middle finger on the 3rd fret of the B, and then now my ring finger, my 3rd finger, is gonna be on the 4th fret of the D. Right? So there's 3 notes in a D major chord. The notes are D, F sharp, and A. When you play it the first way, you have an open D, you have an A, you have a D, and then you have an F sharp. So there's the 3 notes. Just D is played twice. D, F sharp, and A. If I do it this way, this note is my F sharp, there's my A, and there's my D. So because I'm playing D, F sharp, and A, as long as D, F sharp, and A are involved, it's a D major chord. And then the next way is an extension off of that. So if you take the second way, and then it's kind of hard, you have to stretch your finger, add your pinky to the 5th fret of the A string, okay? Now, you're playing from the A string to the B string. Where you will see this shape is in the song Under the Bridge by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. That's the opening chord of the song. It's gonna be involved in that shape. Okay, so it's just an extension off the previous 2 versions. Also called the C shape because it kind of outlines the shape of a C major chord. But it's a D. D, F sharp, A, and D again. All right, now we're gonna get into some bar chords. So here, the 5th fret of the A, that note's a D. And then if you take your ring finger and hold down the 7th fret of the D, G, and B, you get D, A, D, and F sharp. Play from the A string to the B string. Bar chords are hard because you're using one finger to hold down multiple strings, but they're an essential part of becoming a competent guitar player, so you gotta learn them. If it's hard for you out of the gate, if you're kind of on the newer side, it's to be expected. Nobody gets bar chords right away. But there's a D. And then another shape based around this bar chord is right here. Just taking the 7th fret of the D, G, and B, holding it down one. It could either be the index finger or it could be the ring finger. Doesn't matter. Depends on the context of when you would use which finger. But just taking those 3 notes, useful shape to know from like a lead guitar perspective. It's built off of this bar chord shape, but it's just playing the 3 individual notes of the chord. Okay, there's the A, there's the D, and there's the F sharp. An extension off of that would be a little triad shape, which would be the 7th fret of the G string, the 7th fret of the B string, and the 5th fret of the A string. So that's a triad. We're gonna come back to triads at the end of the lesson. But there's a D, F sharp, and A. It makes a D chord. And then the next bar chord shape is gonna be at the 10th fret of the E string. So you're gonna use your first finger here to hold down all 6 strings across the 10th fret. And then your third finger is on the A string of the 12, your pinky is on the D string of 12, and your middle finger is on the G string of 11, okay? So this is a 6-string major bar chord. And this is tricky to do because it's higher up the neck. Usually when you do bar chords like around this area, it's a little bit easier. The frets get kind of scrunched together down here. Ain't gonna be hard to do, but it's absolutely worth knowing. You play all 6 strings, and then an alternate way to do that would be what I call the Hendrix way, which is, spoiler alert, made famous by Jimi Hendrix. You take that same bar chord idea, but you use your thumb on the E string, and then your first finger is on the B string, your middle finger is on the G string, and your ring finger is on the D string of 10, 11, and 12, respectively. Your thumb is actually also touching the A. It's touching the A, but it's muting it, okay? So I got a note there, I got a muted note there, and then those 3 notes are ringing. So this is a very, again, popular chord form made by Hendrix. Stevie Ray Vaughan used it. John Mayer uses it. A lot of people use it. Again, worth knowing. It's based off of this little bar chord shape, an alternate way to play it. And the last way I want to show you how to play the D chord is just built off of that bar chord. It's the G, B, and E string. Just those notes. 11 of the G, 10 of the B and the E. Okay, that's an F sharp, that's an A, that's a D. And that's a triad shape, okay? So I said we're gonna come back to this. One of the most fun things to do, useful things to do, is to find just the triad shapes on the G, B, and E string. So if you start here with the open position, playing that, just those 3 strings, you can even play the D string. That is a triad shape. You're playing just the 3 notes of the chord. And then the next version of it was here, right? We looked at it based off of the A shape, 7th fret, 5th fret. And then this last one we just showed you of 11, 10, and 10. And then even up here, you have the same D shape, just in a higher octave. Finding where all those D chords are. Just doing this little exercise of moving between them and trying to get faster and more rapid with it. Really, really useful thing to do, because then you'll really know where a D is. And again, if you don't know why that's useful, I promise you, if you learn it, you're never going to regret it. And there's never going to be a point in time where you're like, oh, I wish I didn't know that. You will, trust me, you will use it, and it will make sense, and it might even really save your butt, especially when you get into improv stuff. Because with improv, you're always wanting to think about what chord is coming next and where to play it. If you're in a different zone of the guitar and you could jump to a chord quickly, it is extremely useful. All right, that's it for this video lesson. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.